but didn't look fantastic on the Corki and didn't get much done.
Well, I mean, can you really put it down to the Corki, though? When, I mean, he was up in farm. The lane swap situation worked out for this Corki, but when he came out of this lane swap situation, like, yeah, I'm ready to perform, the rest of the team had been just destroyed.
But that's my point. If he was on Draven, if he was on Kog'Maw, you felt like he would have done more with the lead that he got, whereas on this Corki, didn't get anything done at all, and Flandre once again goes back to a first pick Maokai after getting smashed. He was 24 CS to 100 at one point nearly.
Yeah, and again, Vici just went with exactly the same bans. It's going to be Rumble switched out for Nidalee here, and that is actually decent. You were talking to us about the fact that if you're not going to ban either Nidalee or Rek'Sai, if you're not going to ban both of them, don't ban any of them, and that is exactly what Snake's done. But theoretically, they could give Hatong Nidalee in the mid lane and pick up Rek'Sai as well.
Yeah, that's a theory. I don't think it's a very good one, though. I think they just played the Victor so well. There's no reason to not go back to it. And as we see, that's going to be picked up. It's a pick away from Barker once again. Leaves Barker with no champion pool. What does he play?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And we'll see what he's going to decide to go with here, of course. Doesn't need to wait too long to pick up that mid lane if they want to, because, of course, they know that Victor, he ain't going to be going anywhere else. And Barker is free to grab that one if he wants to. Beast not going to go back towards the Nunu again. And Barker looking to pick away the Corki once more. Crystal looking to go back on that champion.
Yeah, so Crystal back on Corki. Wasn't convinced game one. Let's see if he can make me a believer game two. And the Jarvan being picked up is interesting. Kind
no
of
Rek'Sai.
like a bagged Rek'Sai on this patch as Jarvan lost a lot of his inner ability to be tanky through his E, of course, on this patch. And has that gap closed that's very devastating early game, but you think with the damage that can come through from Dandy, if he ever gets counter-gamed, he's in a very bad position.
Yeah, and I just find it absolutely dumbfounding that he's going to pick Jarvan instead of the Rek'Sai. It takes away that entire thing of, you know, if you're going to, you know, ban none of them or one. You know, I just feel a bit silly now. As Vasily, he's going to go straight back to the Lucian. Marta straight back on the Thresh here yet again. Dandy, the only one to switch it up, and that seems to me that it's going to be an upgrade here. He had the opportunity to go to the Rek'Sai if he wanted to, but we've seen Dandy's Nidalee, and it is terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. He got the pick that he wanted there, and he went with the Nidalee, so obviously valuing that one a little bit more, and you can't blame him. Of course, there will be a second change because Rumble's being banned away, and in the bottom lane, Corki, Nami, not a great lane.
No, not a whole lot of synergy there, of course, because generally Nami fantastic at boosting up these hyper carries. And we'll see what Barker's going to go with, whether he's going to go back to the Ezreal here as Ella on the Leona. I like that decision a whole lot more.
Yeah, certainly do. And maybe the Zed is something they needed. They lacked any form of being able to match a split push. There was no one that could really absorb side lane farm because Flandre had got way too far behind. And that's what looks like that's what they're going for. Barker going to be taking that Zed into the middle lane.
It's the first time we've seen it.
It is, and got a lot of high damage against Hatong's mid laner there as well. So we'll have to see if he can chunk him out early, get in there to be nice and aggressive, because if there's any time Victor struggles, it's early in the game, and Zed can put out a lot of pain.
Speaking of being able to put out a lot of pain, Carry, the last pick Lissandra could be coming through here as well, and that is so much burst damage coming through in that combo with just the solo laners involved.
Yeah, it certainly is. Also allows a lockdown target for Zed. Not convinced they're a very squishy lineup if that is what they go for. Instead, swapping to a top lane Fizz. And this is a matchup I like. Fizz very good against Zed.
Yep.
Matches the split push extremely well because he's able to dodge out of that death mark with the playful Trickster. Doesn't rely on it for any damage now because of the way he's built as an AD bruiser top lane.
Yep.
And has a completely free lane against Maokai. There is no way Maokai ever shoves a Fizz out of lane.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are going to be out of the champion select, but this is exactly right. You, in fact, were explaining this to me not 2 days ago, talking about the fact that Fizz fantastic. They're in the top lane for dealing with the likes of these super tanks like Maokai.
Yeah, exactly right. He just has so much inherent damage through his ult now.
Yep.
And if you ult someone and then wait for the knockup, activate the W and auto-attack them, you just put out way too much damage to be dealt with. And I feel that in a 1v1, we'll be able to comfortably deal with Zed as well. Of course, won't have that Zhonya's Hourglass to be able to, I guess, get rid of the death mark if he does mix time the playful Trickster. But typically doesn't have to activate it and should win in an auto-attack trade. So it really is about who throws out their abilities first. Does it go for the Death Mark or does it Playful Tricks to come through? And, of course, itemizing through that Frozen Heart, great cooldown reduction that comes through. A lot of armor and attack speed slow. I just feel on 3 items, Fizz is going to be a real nightmare for them to deal with.
Yeah, and of course, just so slippery in these fights as well. Has lost none of that aspect to his kit. And does have some CC to play around with. Does have the Playful Trickster for the slow. Of course, the continual slow when that fish is down as well, the Chum the Waters. My goodness, it's going to be very, very scary. And we've seen that carry is more than happy to play these carry top laners. Not to go with a pun here or anything like that, but more than happy to pick them up in the top lane.
Yeah, certainly is. And we saw that he played a pretty good Rumble last game, was denied fairly heavily, and then came back in a massive way. And now going with another, I guess, very strong top laner currently. More of a solo queue pick, you have to think, but we've seen it played to great effect by Zatai, and now being picked up by carry. I'm really excited to see how this one turns out.
Yeah, and I think it was a very similar lane matchup, if not exactly the same lane matchup that Zatai had, where, or was it a Scion that came through? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see what carry is going to be able to do with this one.
Potentially a Hecarim.
Ah, well, completely different then. There's totally no idea.
Potentially.
Apparently.
Don't quote me on that.
No, I'm not going to. Definitely don't quote me either. I seem to have no idea what's going on. Is Hatong going to be locked in there for the mid lane? Hatong going to be locked in for the mid lane? I think I'm going to go home.
Zereth? Victor, oh my gosh.
I've thrown you off as well. This is, of course, going to be exactly the same champion select. Once more, ladies and gentlemen, Victor there in the mid lane, and Vasily going to be locking away the Lucian. And Barker, this is definitely what's going to be happening. I'm not entirely sure why we actually went out of the champion select prior. It was Beast, actually, who left that one. So he is going to come back through, but does have that Jarvan, of course. So nothing going to change up here as far as this champ select goes. And you can see Vasily on your screen, very serious. And we were talking about the murder in his eyes before, and it's definitely still there.
The one thing you will say is that the bottom lane coming out of Snake is very strong. In a 2v2 matchup. Leona, Corki, especially once level 6 is hit, I guess you can say that Marta can flay away that Zenith Blade coming in very early, but after level 6, you just throw the Solar Flare at the Thresh and is a sitting duck. Gets blown up. So you have to say that is a very strong lane, and I want to see how Crystal and Ella play that lane. Of course, Crystal having a little bit of an off game last time around, and a 4v4 teamfight situation seems to fit Snake. If they can manage to manufacture a 4v4 teamfight, you would think that it is in their advantage with the split push just going on, because we have seen how good they are at fighting these small skirmishes, at eking out small leads through teamfights, and that's what I commended Vici for last game. They really didn't let that happen.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and is Snake now equipped enough in this game in order to weather the storm that is the early stages? Of course, Jarvan may have been picked up for exactly that reason, to exert some more pressure here in the mid-game, as we did, of course, go through the lineups, and Ella now on this Leona for exactly that, a little bit more early game power.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you said. It really is up to the Jarvan, up to the Leona to get them through the early levels, try and make something happen, and you feel they need to get a 2v2 lane.
Well, let's see if they do as we hop onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Game 2 between Vici and Snake. And Snake looking to come back into this one because they almost weren't there the first game around. And Vici just looking incredibly strong. And again, with a whole lot of power picks. 3 champions that they decimated on in the last game. And now Carry picking up the Fisherman in the top lane.
Yeah, and they've shown Carry in the top lane. I don't think Mata was spotted out, although now everyone will be spotted out. So they know where the whole lineup is. And Beast might have been a little bit caught here by Dandy. No, able to back away. So it will just be some deep wards coming through from Vici.
And as far as a lane swap is concerned, is it going to be Vici looking for it, or is it going to be Snake looking to try and change up the way these lanes work out? Of course, Ella and Crystal already here on the bottom side.
Well, you see, it's a funny one because you really want to swap the Maokai away from the Fizz and try and deny that matchup, but you want the Leona as well as the Corki to be able to go 2v2 in your lane. So really is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation here for Snake. So is up to them. Do they believe that they can weather the storm in the bottom lane, or whether they need to get, in the top lane, or do they need to get Flandre away from that matchup? I think they would be confident in Flandre being able to do it, and it looks like they're maybe setting up a little bit of a gank here on the bottom lane of Vici.
Oh, Mata actually spots Ella out there as well as Beast hanging around at the same time. Nice forethought just to make sure that he walked a little bit further around that ridge instead of straight into it. And of course, Vici are going to survive this one. Dandy going to be taking away these Krugs on his lonesome.
And I like what Dandy did there. If you're wondering why he stayed in human form a little bit longer, of course, being snared, they weren't able to walk up to him. Gets a couple more free auto attacks in there and then can go for his double round of pounces. So Dandy keeping as high health as possible in that jungle. You see already on the red buff.
Yeah, doesn't have the smite available. He's going to have to use a potion at some point, you have to think, as he's going down very, very low, launching himself at this buff. Actually does get the stun, but...
It's reset. He stunned it actually. Okay, so that mechanic is a strange one, and it's going to really cost Dandy there pretty big. If you stun something in soft leech range, it soft leeches in the stun 5 times and then automatically resets. And that was on the very edge of it, so not able to get through that one with maximum health. Has been able to clean it up now, but is extremely low. Might not be able to do the blue buff, you feel, with how low he currently is, but is going to go for it.
My goodness, Vasily just poking Crystal down in this lane. You can see over and over again, not letting Crystal get anything for free. Very Uzi-esque coming through from Vasily, making sure that he's punishing his lane opponent over and over. There's a Zenith Blade to come through. Does land the Shield of Daybreak, but a little bit late after that Relentless Pursuit to come down. And Mata now just positioning himself well in front of this creep wave. 17 CS to 10 now, and Crystal can barely do anything. The poke is insane.
Yeah, and it's all Vasily. This isn't Mata at all. Mata just making sure he's in a position to peel, and off the back of that, Crystal just getting completely destroyed by Vasily in this lane. And the important thing is, it's not the poke going down onto Ella, who would be able to heal up with all those extra potions supports get. This is the AD carry who has none in his
That's a death sentence, and that could actually be the death here. Forcing the flash out as well as Vasily's going to follow through. First blood to come down. Beautiful Dark Passage. And Vici Gaming looks so good.
Yeah, and in the bottom lane as well, this is a member that we thought might have the biggest struggle was Vasily making the transition across, but he's silencing all doubters in the last couple of weeks, playing out of his mind.
Yeah, this Lucian to come through, I just don't understand how he's continuing to get it over and over again because he's looked so strong.
Yeah, he certainly has, and in the top lane you can see Flandre falling a little bit behind again. 15 to 25 carry. Definitely has the winning matchup this time around and will continue to bully as levels come through. Doesn't get weaker at all.
Yeah, the Urchin Strike to come down here as well into Flandre. Does trade quite nicely here with carry, but does have the flask available. And we'll just chug that one in order to get a bit of that health back. Dandy has eventually managed to pick up that red buff, but it's been a slower jungle phase for the kitty.
Yeah, it certainly has. He's been able to clear out, I guess, a lot of the single target camps. So he went Krugs to red to blue to Gromp, so it probably is the least amount of minions that you can pick up. So he's not as far behind as he seems because, of course, Wraiths were done on the side of Beast, as we might have some more action in the bottom lane. You'd have to think with a pickaxe versus a longsword, this lane's just going to turn into a complete slugfest whenever Vasily decides he wants to go aggressive again.
Yeah, actually, Zenith Blade's going to land here as well. Dark Passage is available for Vasily, but nice trade to come down for Snake as Crystal. Half of his health down, but Vasily does lose a whole lot more. Mata actually looking for a death sentence here as well. Doesn't find it onto Crystal, thinking that he'd juke down instead of up. Nice forethought from Crystal, just to mix it up, make sure he's moving different directions each time.
And that play was really on Ella. Hit the Zenith Blade midway through that Phosphorus Bomb being launched, so was able to ensure all the extra damage went through from the proc, and got to hand it to the support player, although in the bottom lane, Crystal caught.
Yeah, there's the exhaust to come down here as well. Ella uses the Zenith Blade to get himself to safety, but again, Crystal dying to Vasily in this 2v2 matchup.
Yeah, and I'm going to call out the Corki pick right now. Crystal does not look comfortable whatsoever, and that we're going to go into a 2v2 lane because of how bad the lane swap is. Just play Draven.
Yeah.
We've seen how comfortable he is on it. He looks all kinds of out of sorts on this Corki, and now he's going to fall behind nearly double the CS. And Vasily just building lead after lead, and at this point, it's not even going to get to the level 6 where the Leona Corki can turn it around. Lane probably over with the 2 kills.
Yeah, and Flandre is able to get some farm in this top lane, but 52 to 35 going on there as well. Both of these lanes working out so well for Vici, and I'm getting some deja vu coming through from this situation because Vici again, looking untouchable.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, this is going to be a split pushing Fizz. So really, you look at the matchup and you say, okay, mid lane going extremely well, 51 to 40, Xerath starting to struggle. But Xerath isn't going to have to deal with the Zed. It's all about the Fizz, and the Fizz is ahead. We'll be able to go back, start up that Trinity Force, and Trinity Force versus Blade of the Ruined King, Fizz versus Zed. Fizz is going to win 99% of the time, has so much more damage.
Yeah, and can dodge away out of the sort of ability that Barker is going to rely on in that split push 1v1.
Yeah, so you got to really, so far, the pick ban phase once again went in Vici's favor, and they've played this laning phase once again flawlessly. You really can't fault anything they've done. Maybe mid lane, 10 CS, that's a little bit of a big deal, especially the fact that Barker on an uncomfortable champion, but that's grasping at straws because across the map they have so many advantages, and now that level starting to come up into the death ray, evolution coming through, that's going to be completely fine in the mid lane as well, you feel.
Oh yeah, and Hetong, I mean, he's down, what, 10 CS or something like that, but he's not going to be worried about that at all, especially considering the fact that these other lanes are just going so well. Dandy's been able to just farm the jungle over and over again, has been picking up the Rift Scuttlers as well, making sure that he has control over there, and Dandy now looking at Barker here, potentially for a gank, but a little bit difficult to lock down a Zed unless he's going to go overly aggressive onto Hetong.
Yeah, well, there's a Shadow, so maybe he will come out double. Shuriken did hit, so that's a lot of damage. So you can see Barker capable of putting out the pain, but the poke coming through from Hetong just as dangerous.
Yeah, doesn't want to get poked down, but has done well to avoid it thus far in the lane, continued to stay ahead. Does have the Bilgewater Cutlass here as well, so that Deathmark is going to do a whole lot of damage with the extra burst to come through from that item. And interestingly enough, Hetong actually moved back to Ignite instead of the Ghost from the previous game.
Yeah, so doesn't have the Ghost. Feels that he can, I guess, fight Barker 1v1 if Barker does go aggressive. At this point in the game, you have to give it to the Zed, but all Victor really wants to do is continue to farm up. We saw how well he dealt with the ADs in the last game, and that's what you feel his complete goal is this time around. Exactly the same thing, mirror how he played the last game.
And one thing I want to say about Crystal is the fact that he has managed to sort of stay within touching distance of this farm, despite the fact that he just went incredibly low there on the bottom side of the map. Actually takes another piercing light.
Took a whole culling to his face then. Completely chunked out of the lane. And you can say he's within touching distance, but experience in the favor of Vici. 2 kills in the favor of Vici. They've matched back, so they're not trying to win it through the CS. All they're doing is continuing to force him out of lane.
Yeah, that is going to be the Shield of Daybreak coming down here as well. Dandy's going to take away the Dragon as the teleport's going to be cancelled here from Flandre. That was just Dandy chilling out on his own. That death sentence was ridiculously close, almost catching the tail of the Earth there onto Crystal, but out of vision here is Marta. Does have the mobility boots, can just walk up and flay if he wants to, and zoning Crystal away from this minion wave.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. Crystal not even being able to throw out. Ooh.
Yeah, there's actually the Xander play coming through. Shield of Daybreak going to stun up Marta just a little bit. And
top lane, Flandre in trouble. Earth came out in the top.
Yeah, Carry actually looking for the kill here onto Flandre, but the Vengeful Maelstrom doing some work. Carry very low as Flandre's actually getting a whole lot of health back. Playful Trickster's going to be there, and there's the Flash Twisted Advance. The tower dive to come through. The solo kill for the tree, but Dandy probably not going to let him take this one. Nice slow to come through from the sapling. There's the Arcane Smash as well. Is Dandy going to be able to get the passive? There's the Twisted Advance. Gets the proc of his passive. But it's a valiant effort, but he does fall down.
Yeah, Barker actually rotating up here. Realizes there's no kill available, so we'll head back to the mid lane. But in the end, very nice play coming out of Flandre. Able to get the solo kill, which wasn't probably expected.
Yeah, Marta actually going to find Beast here, though. Death Sentence there. The box is down as well as Vasily. He's going to get Cataclysm. Ella stuns him up as well, takes the Dark Passage, and Beast survives. The Ignite not going to be enough to take down Vasily, but I was not expecting Beast to get out of that one.
Yeah, Flash and Heal also used for Vasily, so buying him some time, Crystal some time in the bottom lane to be able to, I guess, get some farm back in his favor. Gets a free shop out as well, picks up that Sheen, so lane going a little bit better there. Across the board, though, they're just building so many advantages of each game. And you feel that Snake, they're definitely looking more on point this time around, trying to take favorable trades when they can, but is it going to be enough? Flandre isn't as far behind as he was last game. Will be a relevant tank threat at least. Has gone for that Shroud, so be able to shrug off a lot of the magical damage coming through. But all of a sudden, in the top lane, this Nidalee looking for a gank, and Still 30 CS nearly ahead for carry.
Yeah, Dandy, he's sort of not needed anywhere else on the map. He's free to camp this lane if he wants to for as long as he likes. As long as he's there to pick up his buffs over and over whenever he needs to, then he's going to be absolutely fine. As he's just going to head back here. Flandre playing safe enough to keep himself out of harm's way, just using that Arcane Smash to clear out these minions. And yeah, Dandy, I mean, he's picked up a kill, of course, but not entirely necessary in this game.
No, it certainly isn't. Just looking to roam around, maybe look for some counter ganks. Recognizing exactly where Beast needs to be on the map. They need to try and get this Maokai ahead, so he is that tanky threat. And in the bottom lane, Crystal and Ella, they're starting to fight back. Signs of life out of the bottom lane of Snake.
Yeah, so able to clear out these minions here, of course, which is definitely important. Only 10 CS is still the gap. Is Ella going to be able to take down that cannon creep for Crystal here as well as... Ooh, Gatling gun going to be used. Phosphorus bomb just dashed out of the way of there by Vasily. All too easy for Illusion to avoid that damage. As Piercing Light is now getting dodged by Crystal.
Man, you got to feel that's a turning point in the lane. He's not walking into skill shots anymore, which has kept him surprisingly healthier.
Weird, right?
It's crazy. And in the mid lane, we see that Zed has been able to pick up his Blade of the Ruined King. Looks like Victor going for a quick Zhonya's Hourglass, not going for that second evolution. Instead, sitting on that Death Ray and now just looking to push out waves. And this is where Victor neutralizes a lot of waves. You feel he falls behind early, but now that he's got that Death Ray, we'll be able to do well. And in the top lane, Flandre looking for another solo kill. Carry needs to be careful.
Oh, that was a bit of a twisted advance onto a minion. A little bit unfortunate. Beast is going to find Carry, though. Gets the knock up with the flag and drag. The slow coming through from the W. Barker is going to be here as Carry. He's trying to hold onto that playful Trickster, but doesn't find it. Deathmark to come down. And that is easily going to be enough. A beautiful dive set up here by Snake, but it could be answered here in the bottom lane as the tower falls down.
Yeah, so they get a kill and they get maybe the top turret, but they're going to lose mid and bottom in response. So very good reaction coming through from Dandy to be able to match that dive. Has also maybe got himself a red buff from Trouble. So across the board, much better out of Snake, but Vici still seem to have the answers.
Yeah, I mean, Snake at least managed to pick up an advantage for themselves. Barker made it back to that mid lane as well. Hatong, of course, not a whole lot of vision there on that top side. Didn't want to wait around for too long. And Barker now going to be able to clear out these minion waves. Oh, that E, not quite enough range to finish off that last caster minion. And Beast, he's actually going to answer the steal of the red buff.
Yeah, so able to pick up a red buff in response. Actually counter jungles that away, so won't have the timer, but able to pick that one up. And in the top lane, this aggressive pickup in the Fizz isn't working out as of yet.
Yeah, not quite, as Satong going to take a lot of damage from those shurikens as well as the rest of Vici Gaming. They're moving around. They want to take down this outer turret in the mid lane. All too easy it is for Vasily, as now it's 2 turrets to 1. But this gold lead, much less for Vici than it was in the last game, but still an uphill battle for Snake.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's 2,000 gold at 15 minutes, so it's definitely less. Next Dragon up in about 30 seconds. I think that really is the point that Snake will prove whether they can win this game. Are they able to pick it up, send Bucker potentially into that top lane to split push against Carry and then try and take out the fight? Or will Vici just spread them very thin over the map with this split pushing fish and be able to, I guess, take a next Dragon and continue to dominate the objectives across the map?
Yeah, Dragon up in 5 seconds. You've got Vici Gaming. Dandy heading out of the base towards that bottom side. Carry almost has his teleport up off cooldown. Is going to be able to take down the last outer turret on the map here for Vici. A lot of extra gold now being picked up in those global objectives. And Crystal, this is important. He has the Trinity Force now.
Yeah, but it's going to be matched by Carry, who is going back, so able to pick up the last outer turret. And all of a sudden, we're saying gold lead not that far. 3,000 gold at 15 minutes. Still very good for Vici.
Oh, yeah, and the map control as well. And a team that has Marta, that has Dandy, these vision control gods from Korea, easily able to exert their dominance. But admittedly, not right now. They've got a lot of vision around this Dragon. They have started that one up here as well as Dandy. He's got a lot of damage for that. Here's the teleport from Flandre. Snake They don't want to take this one down. Actually, Marta managing to get carry out here, though, but Beast just gets immediately exploded. Marta gonna follow at the same time as Vici. There's the death mark to come down. Dandy so incredibly low as the death mark procs, and Crystal, he's looking for a kill. He doesn't have flash, but Flandre, he's there. He had the Righteous Glory. There's the Zenith Blade. Ella picks up the kill, but exchanges it for his life.
He's coming in from
behind.
behind.
There goes Carry. Is it the twist? Oh my goodness. Beautiful play. And Dandy picks up a kill and Carry gets one as well.
So that was 4 for 1. All of a sudden, Vici Gaming just outplaying
for 2, I think. I think Marta fell down as well.
Maybe 2, yeah. So Marta fell down at the very start, but Vici Gaming just outplaying the team fight aspect of that, and we thought that was maybe where Snake had the advantage. Able to get a team fight, and they just come out a little bit further behind and see if they start it up again, because a couple of members haven't gone back from Vici, and Dragon's still available.
Yeah, Flandre not going to have the teleport this time, though. Does have boots, too, as Beast. He's going to find Marta here, taking a fair bit of damage. The Warrior Enchant has been completed. Nice dodge out of the death sentence there, as the spear not going to find Marta.
More importantly, stalls time for Dandy to get off that Dragon. Now maybe Flandre within range to be able to contest this one. Looks like they still want to go in.
Yeah, Righteous Glory is available. Beast unable to get the steal, immediately flashes out here as well. Ella gets chummed, and he's just going to go down. Barker, nice use of that Shadow to get himself out of trouble as the rockets to come down from Crystal now that he's in the fight. Marta takes a whole lot as Flandre picks up that kill, but the rest of Vici looking to try and answer, but they're very low. Crystal at full health. Flandre might have been cornered here, but it is a decent actually, no, it's a 2 for 1 still. Somehow in Vici Gaming's favor, even after the fact that they all went so low. Yeah,
Vici Gaming still able to pick up the 2 for 1, able to pick up the next Dragon as well. So 2 Dragons is their lead, as all the kills going over onto Dandy. Probably not the member you want to get fed on this Nidalee. We've seen how potent he can be. Looking to pick up the mid lane turret in response, and probably will get it. So getting something for their efforts. But Vici starting to eke out every advantage.
They really are. Barker, of course, didn't manage to go back after that last skirmish. Picked up a couple of assists there as well, so he might be able to grab that Brutalizer, maybe some boots here as well when he heads back to base. But he's fallen behind in the farm once again. Hatong was behind early, was feeling the pressure of this lane, but somehow manages to find farm when we're not paying attention, and now is ahead.
Yeah, certainly does look to be that way. And once again, it really is the Zed going to be against the Fizz, and Fizz not having any problems at this point. Now picked up a Shroud for himself, so has a lot of CDR. With the maxed out Playful Trickster already, he was maxing that equally with the W. Will be able to avoid a lot of the damage that comes through, and as I said, once that Frozen Heart comes through, don't really know if Zed can go 1v1 against him.
Well, especially not now that he's got 25% cooldown reduction from items alone here as well, and you were mentioning the fact that he has a whole lot of it. Barker actually going to be found by the Death Sentence. My goodness, that spear was so incredibly close, as there's the Chum the Waters onto the Zed, but the shield from the tower going to help alleviate some of that damage, and Vici, they are going to back away. 5 men strong there on the bottom side. Flandre in the top. Split pushing away on this tree, but doesn't do a whole lot of structure damage.
Yeah, certainly doesn't. Of course, very high base AD coming through from Maokai, and you see the Chum the Waters already halfway off cooldown already. It's only level 2, of course, with level 12 for Carrion. All that CDR starting to pay off. He can use that spell very liberally.
Oh, yeah, and almost has the Frozen Heart completed as well. Only needs the Warden's Mail portion, and that's going to double the cooldown reduction from that item. That's 35% from items alone. He doesn't need a blue buff. Dandy may have found Beast here as well. Wants to try and find that spear, but not sure whether he entirely will, because the blue buff might be in the way. Oh, Hatong actually going to use the Zhonya's. Dodges out of the way of the Solar Flare, but he's still in so much trouble. Gravity Field locking up 2 members as Dandy might be able to pick up that kill as Flandre comes in, picks up Hatong. Ella's going to fall down. The heal from Crystal may not save his life, even under this turret, as Carry just tanks that one through. Playful Trickster gets himself out. Barker split pushing in the bottom side, saying, hey, why did you engage, guys? But there was no opportunity to disengage from that. Vici just with a beautiful pick-off.
Well, they thought they had Hatong completely caught out. They used a couple of ultimates to lock him down, but a very clutch Zhonya's meant that he was able to dodge out of a lot of damage, get the first rotation of spells down, and from there, it really was all about how much damage Vasily and Carry were able to put out. Not to mention this 4-0 and 6 Nidalee, who's now got the Seraph's transformation. Dandy completely rolling in this game, and the whole lineup on Vici's side just looks incredibly strong.
Yeah, and Dandy just had free reign over his jungle, was able just to farm up for as long as he liked, and as soon as he came out of there, it was just looking brilliant. So really frightening things coming through for Snake so far. Of course, the gold lead now at about 4,000, a little bit over as they're setting up a little bit of a gank brush situation for Crystal. We'll see whether he falls for the trap. He is cheating towards the top side. So Vici, oh my goodness. Death sentence. You're dead, Crystal. Sorry, buddy.
Just a lot of damage coming through, and they're behind the Snake lineup in the bottom lane.
Oh, there's the Earth onto Beast here at the same time. They can't catch a break, and the members of Snake as Carry is on a rampage now, tanking up this turret to no end. Deathmark to come down. The flash out of the way. Double kill, though, as Carry tanks the turret forever and does not care. A lot of damage to come through as the Seraph Shield is going to save Dandy's life. Ella's going to fall down. What have Vici Gaming been eating? I want some of this.
And this is exactly the problem with the Zed versus Fizz matchup, especially with all the cooldown reduction coming through. Max Playful Trickster, max cooldown reduction coming through from Fizz. And there's just no way, as a Zed, you can ever ult him. He's not going to take the damage.
And Carry's now going to build a Blade of the Ruined King. So he's just going to kill everyone.
Yeah, it's such a fun build coming through. The Blade of the Ruined King active with that Chum the Waters just does ridiculous amounts of damage. Not to mention the fact that it increases the attack speed, which synergizes so well with the W. Fizz is a very fun champion at the moment and does some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, I like how, you know, the change comes through, deals with the fact that his burst damage was stupid, but now makes him into this really brilliant top lane fighter.
It's just impossible to peel.
Yeah, he's playing fantastically as well.
Certainly is 6-2-6, 12 out of 14 kill participation. Flandre, he's 100% kill participation. You have to say, much better game out of the top laner for Snake, but really not getting any support from his AD carry, not much support coming from this mid lane. Is all about really him and maybe Ella that are having better games this time around, but otherwise it just looks pretty bad for Snake.
Yeah, and I guess Barker wasn't as far behind in the mid lane, but we're clutching at straws when we're talking about the things that have gone right for Snake this game. It's not as bad as last game, is probably the best thing that we can say at this point, as Vici, again, just with so much control.
Yeah, able to get another Dragon. That's number 3, so all the movement speed coming through. They're sending Carry into the bottom lane, and you can see straight away, Zed wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Ducking away to the Krogs, maybe pick those up for some extra gold, but he can't split push against Fizz at this point in time, and maybe won't ever be able to.
Yeah, I don't see how it's going to be an opportunity here with the Frozen Heart Trinity Force going to soon be a Bilgewater Cutlass into that Blade of the Ruined King. And we'll see whether he goes for the Zatai option, which was the, I believe, was it the Ravenous Hydra that he picked up on the Fizz? Interesting build path choice.
Well, it's fine because he does a lot of mixed damage, so you can't really itemize defensively against it. You're only ever going to get onto the squishy targets, so yeah, they don't build much armor anyway. And you have to think with Fizz's kit, you just don't have to deal with bruises at the moment. The amplified damage comes through regardless of whether you have penetration. Really do like the build, and it just means that he has so much lifesteal, hard to deal with.
Yeah, and they are now 5 men strong here on the bottom side of the map is Vici Gaming looking for a way in. This inner turret's still very, very healthy. Barker going to get death sentence. There's a nice solar flare coming through from Ella as Crystal picks up Dandy. A second kill to come down as somehow Barker's still alive. There's the Chaos Storm under Crystal, but there's the damage down now for Hatong. Can Crystal actually get anything off here? No! Carry's in the fight. He's almost dead, but he's not going to go down just yet. Flandre finds himself the only man alive as Hatong, Vasily, and Carry, the 3 damage dealers, still alive for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, so they're able to go 4 for 2, and you thought with the layering of CC and the amount of damage that Barker got off in that fight, it might be the one Snake we're looking for, but in the end, Carry came through, completely wrecked house. Great supporting cast in Hatong, who on 3-1-11 has quietly accumulated a 30 CS advantage after being down in the early game. And across the board, Vici looked like a well-oiled machine. we were questioning earlier in the season, were they ever going to arrive? Dandy and Mata, such renowned worldwide players, of course. Mata having that MVP performance in World Champions, and they look like they're finally gelling as a team, Atlas. This is a world-class performance coming out of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, completely ridiculous control over this entire map. They're playing exactly like a well-oiled machine. It seems like there's nothing that they can't do at this stage. And Dandy, he's just looked better and better as well on any champion that he's played. Admittedly, he's picked up the Nidalee and the Rek'Sai in this series, which is something that I wasn't thinking would happen, but there are so many bans that you need to throw out against this team.
Yeah, there certainly are, and you really have to question who you focus and what you get rid of, and it looks like they're starting up the Baron right on cue as last game. Carry does ridiculous damage to it. Vici, of course, pumping out all that damage with the IE static shift. They're able to pick it up, and there's not really anything Snake can do.
Yeah, Gravity Field's going to be used. Solar Flare onto Hatong only gets the slow here as Beast is in amongst the fight. Chum the Waters onto Barker, though, and he's going to go down instantly. Mata taking so much damage. Flandre didn't quite have a teleport target that he wanted to as Crystal forced to use that Valkyrie very defensively. Hatong still alive. The flash over the wall carry insta-kills Crystal. That's an ace. Only Mata dead. And this could even be the game at 27 minutes.
Yeah, certainly looks to be that way. Massive wave in the top lane. Will be able to at least grab an inhibitor. And that was 3 people trying to deal with carry. Surrender vote comes through.
No surprises there as Snake tapped them at 5 draws in a row after that loss to M3. Now dropping a whole series here to Vici Gaming. But that's not necessarily about Snake not looking great. This is about Vici looking unstoppable.
I'm going to say a little of column A, a little of column B. Snake did not look fantastic that series, especially in the bottom lane. Really have to question how they played this whole series against Vici and Mata. Double Corki pickups didn't seem to work, and at the end of the day, Atlas, that means that now Vici Gaming within 3 points of Snake. One series.
One series victory is all they need, assuming that Snake aren't going to pick up any other points. Of course, they do play one more time this weekend, but if it's the Snake that showed up here today, it may not necessarily be sort of a guaranteed point to come through here for these guys.
Yeah, and the problem is there seems to be a recipe to beat Snake. Get rid of the Xerath, get rid of 2 of the AD carries, and you throw 2 champion pools into question, and that's just not what a top LPL team should be about. You shouldn't be able to throw 3 bans at a team and take away 2 champion pools.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got a replay. Let's just see how well Vici controlled this game.
Yeah, so this is the team fight that you thought Snake might be able to turn something around. If we roll it through, they get a fantastic Solar Flare onto a couple of members, and all the damage comes through from Zed. But just look at Carry. He is completely untouched on the back line, able to take care of 2 carries here, and then get onto Crystal as well. And from there, you're trying to peel this Fizz, who we said already is just so hard to peel because of the cooldown reduction on the Playful Trickster. Really shrugs off a lot of the CC coming through, is inherently tanky with that build. And from there, it was just all about everyone else following up.
Yeah, just ridiculous coordination coming through from Vici. It looks like they've finally gelled as a team, and that is terrifying for the other members of the LPL here. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going through to our second series of the day. OMG are going to be taking on King right after this.